You're listening to the Fan to Fan podcast, and today we're talking about the upcoming season of Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off. Here we go. Welcome to the Fan to Fan podcast. This is your host, Bernie Gonzalez, and I am here yet again with two of my great friends and great fans, Chris Stevenson and Andre Walker. Chris, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing, B?
I am doing good. Thanks for being here. Dre, how are you doing, man?
B, what's up?
Always appreciate your enthusiasm. So for this episode, it's kind of like a two-part episode because we're going to talk about the upcoming season of Face Off, season 11 on Sci-Fi Channel, but we're going to also talk about Chris's journey. So back in, I believe it was episode 9 or 10, we talked about Face Off, but we also talked about Chris joining the Cozart SFX Studios, which is founded by Face Off Season 4 champion Anthony Cozart, and he'd worked on Avatar and Indiana Jones 4. So at the time, Chris was about to take a class. He shared about some of his motivations to take the class and why he wanted to get into makeup effects. Now he's taken a number of classes. He's kind of seen what that experience is, worked with Anthony Cozart, worked with some of the other contestants from Face Off that work at the studio. So we can talk about the show, and Chris can give us his perspective on what practical makeups, at least taking some of the classes, are like, and kind of what he wants to do and what's inspired him to move forward with this potentially as a career. So I guess let's start talking about Face Off, guys. You guys have been avid watchers of the show. You guys really got me into it. I think it was around season 6 or 7, and I've been watching it since, so I'm excited that this new season is starting. They're kind of it's a different take for this new season 11, than previous ones, so I'll kind of let you guys start it off. So what's going to be different about season 11 that we should be excited about?
It's the All-Stars. It's some of the great contestants that's been on the past. I mean, Logan, Adam. There's a lot of great makeup artists from the past that have made it to either the Final Four or the finals that's going to be on there this season. And, man, it's going to be crazy to see what they're going to end up doing.
Yeah, I mean, the past couple of face-off seasons, we've enjoyed the show, but they haven't had some of the quality makeup artists that they had earlier in the year when Anthony was on there, and with Tate was on there, and with Connor was on there. But now they bring us some of the better face-off contestants on there. Some of the people who I was disappointed to see didn't make it to the finals, or some people who made it to the finals and didn't get a chance to win. They're all bringing them back for an All-Star Challenge, and it's really exciting because now they're going to really up their game with some of the better people on the show.
So let's kind of reset a little bit. So you guys have watched it since season 1?
Yes.
Chris?
I kind of watched the first season. I stopped for about 5-6 seasons. I got back in about season 7, but since the last podcast, I've went and watched them all from season 1 till now where we're at. So
especially since you've got to meet some of these people now too.
Yeah,
face to face.
I got to meet them. Yeah, I got to meet them face to face. I've met Logan. I've met Anna. I've met Jamie. I've met Adam. I've met them face to face and talked to them
and taking classes with them.
Yeah, with Jamie and Anna's teachers at Cozart School.
So since you guys have watched it since season 1, I guess I'll kind of reset it from the beginning for those that maybe didn't listen to that episode. Are there people that are not familiar with Face Off? What is it about the show that's appealing for you guys?
It's a reality show, so you kind of get, people that don't like reality shows get turned off, but it's the special effects, it's the makeup, it's...
Because it's kind of like a dirty word when you think of reality shows.
Right. You think drama, you think Maury Povich, you think all that kind of stuff.
Kardashians.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's nothing like that. It's makeup artists that want to get better and they want to grow. They either started out at home, they went to Cervini's school, they went to Cozart school, and they want to take that next level. That's what this main thing is. Cozart was the same way. Anthony Cozart was the same way. He's opened up his own school. He wanted to take his stuff to the next level, which was Face Off, and that's what a lot of people want to do.
And it's just beyond people who've gone to like the Tom Savini school or Stan Winston school. They are airbrush artists in Vegas or
haunted houses.
Exactly, yes.
They might work in that kind of industry. They're at home taught. They learn from YouTube, all those type of things. They just feel like this is the next step for them
it's good
to
spotlight.
do it. Yeah, and what's good about it, everyone's there to help each other. Just them helping each other. If someone can't get a mold open and they're trying to get open, they can't. They help each other. Not anything
it doesn't
else.
have all the artificial drama, all the trappings of that you'd see in a reality show where they're trying to create tension amongst people, like in Survivor or Big Brothers or some of those shows. And I don't say it from a place of experience because I typically don't like watching reality TV. I don't want to see people that are put in a situation on purpose to fight, and then you're just filming the entire thing. That doesn't seem appealing to me. Face Off, you don't get any of that. There's a lot of collaboration, partnership, a lot of mentoring. It really is reality TV, but it not in all the ways that reality TV is known to be bad.
The first season had a lot of that drama.
It did.
And that's why I kind of stopped watching, because I love the special effects. I love the makeup, see how they do it. But there was just too much drama. It was a lot of drama in the first season.
And they're competing with probably
and then
Road
one
Rules
girl,
and all those MTV shows.
Right, and one girl didn't like another girl because they were, it was a little bit of that, and that's what kind of turned me off from the second season on.
Less makeup, more drama.
Yeah, and they kind of fixed that after watching season 2. There was a little bit, not too much to really be a big deal about, but they fixed that. This is about the makeup. This is about the industry. This is about trying to get the next great artists and what they can do. And
Yeah, to me, it was just the perfect storm of what I love about entertainment. You got artists who can draw, create things on paper. Then you have the special effects part of it. You can do molds and sculptures. So they took everything like art, makeup, visual effects, and movies, and they combined it all together in a show. And like you said, it's a competition show. It's a reality competition show, but it's not really. The negative part about the show is that it is a competition show and somebody has to go home. That's always a downer to me because I like everybody on the show and I love the artist show, and I realize, oh yeah, somebody's going to get knocked off the show, it's going to go home. But the creativity of the show, seeing different people and seeing different creators, I love seeing the imagination of the show. I love seeing the creations on the show,
and you get to see it from start to finish. It's the concept. We're gonna work in the fantasy world, and this is a troll. That's the assignment. We have to do a troll, and then you see from their individual perspectives, like you said, Chris, people who might have some experience with special effects, so they come at it from a different perspective. Someone who may come at it from an airbrushing perspective, or either way, you get to see it from concept then to concept design. You see sketches. This is what I think I want to look at, and then you get into the actual making of it, the production of the concept from what I had on the sketch has to be different because the way I want that horn to curl just doesn't work practically. But then you get the people who can do it, and those to me are the fun parts. When you see the person that, wow, what they had on paper, which looked impossible, they were actually able to do it. It's standing there on a stage, and somebody could actually go and touch it.
It's like getting a behind-the-scenes windows of a movie set. You know what I mean? You get this one little small aspect of a movie, but you get. I mean, I know it's sped up. It's not real time like what you would do in a movie. You don't have the time that they get to do the projects and do like concept sketches and molds and stuff like that. But you get this cool feeling of what it's like to see when somebody creates a character for a movie. I mean, all of us grew up watching sci-fi, horror, and fantasy movies. So to get to see that, like you said, B, from concept to practicality to actual product, it's really cool. And it hooked me in from right away, from the very first episode that I watched. And, I don't really watch a lot of Sci-Fi Channel shows. I mean, after Battlestar Galactica, I kind of dropped off with that network, because I wasn't happy with some of the shows like Sharknado and stuff like that. And I just happened to come across it. And me and my brother said, what is this show? And we were interested in it. And we watched the first episode and we were hooked like that. And it's such a nice window into visual effects, into how movie making and prosthetics, and how do you do this and what do you do with that, and the different saline versus silicone, and some of the creative aspects of it, and seeing what the artist originally envisions versus what he comes, good or bad, whether it's a good thing where the artist creates has a sketch and a concept that's good, and he actually fulfills the promise of making that actual product a reality, or if he does it and it goes awry. You get to see like when you watch a movie, you can envision like how I can see how this movie failed because he had a good concept, but he just couldn't follow through with that. So seeing that little window into the world of a movie is what really hooks me into sci-fi, and it's probably it's been one of my favorite shows since it's been on. I mean, scripted, unscripted, Game of Thrones, Westworld. Face Off has been one of my favorite shows since it's been out.
And you were a fan of the sci-fi show we were talking about it off mic, the Henson show with the puppet makers.
Yeah, Face Off has become Sci-Fi Channel's highest rated, best received show since Battlestar Galactica.
It is. I mean, 11 seasons, that's saying something.
It's been on and it's been appreciated and it's grown fame. So Sci-Fi Channel's been trying to recreate show with Face Off. They had the hot set one where you could do the set, and that didn't really take off. Then they had the cosplay show that didn't really take off. They did the Jim Henson one where you do the puppeteering. That's the show I thought was really cool. And like I said, it's another window into seeing like a creator doing something really creative. And I wish they would have do a sequel to that show. But yeah, that was another show that had the Face Off mold in place, and it was a good window into seeing how characters, those giant puppeteer characters like Guillermo del Toro does in Pan's Labyrinth or in Hellboy, get to see how those things make. Face Off was the first show that really started getting people a little behind the scenes to how it is to be on the set of the movie. And even the finale, we'll probably get on later on, how they changed up the finale of the episode where the contestants go actually on a set and they do makeup on the set.
Let's talk about it now. Some of the seasons where I got into it, they weren't at that point yet, where you have the contestants, and it seems like they vary, because I've seen them start with anywhere from like 12, 15 contestants, they start off with, and then they narrow it down, and as they finally get down to the last...
Usually the last three.
By the last three.
Yeah, it's the last three.
They create that final
challenge,
that final challenge, but they've been bringing in, I know they brought in like Patrick Tatopoulos, who's worked on Independence Day, the Underworld series, a few of those films, and he's actually brought the makeup effects artist out of the studio to a set and to say, okay, this is something that you created kind of like in the safety of a studio where
season 9.
Where everything's in control. And then season 9 where I saw, okay, well now he's taking them to a set where you have humidity and you have actors and you have motion and you have
test shots. I mean, they actually the makeup guys get to do like a second run this time. It's like they actually get to see what the makeup looks under the light, and then they get to go and adjust the makeup compared to what the director wants versus what they could do versus how it would look under screen. So they get to feel, so you get to actually see kind of a process of what it takes to shoot a movie and how the characters do characters in a movie like a Star Trek or Lord of the Rings. You get to see what they do on set, and that just took the show to the next level when they did that. So it's that window into movie making.
And last season they did the same thing, but they used different writers. Well, they used one story, and then it was 3 different directors that wanted different things. Instead of having the one guy saying this, they had 3 different directors.
And that's the one where they had Bloom. I think it's John Bloom from Blumhouse Studios, and they've done Insidious, and I think they did Paranormal Activity in some of those movies. Yep. So they've been a staple of some of the modern horror, but to have someone with some legitimacy like that bring in some young directors who had pretty good vision if you saw the final product, and then have these makeup artists and say, take your creation and we're going to put it on set under the lights with these real directors. I mean, it's not amateur hour. It's meant to look like a real production, something that you would see on a big screen or even on Sci-Fi Channel. And we're not talking like Sharknado. We're talking like a really good production.
Yeah, and I think that just, like I said, each season they up the ante with the finale.
And when I say Sharknado, I say it's a serious production. It's done well.
No, don't bash Sharknado. I like all 4 of them.
But it's been a great show from the beginning. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to this new season and see the veterans come back and see what they can do, what they learn. Because that was one of the things that always, with Face Off is you get those people who never been on the show before, and it takes like 2 or 3 episodes for them to get the rhythm down. How long it takes to mold, how long does it do the makeup, how long does it take to do apply the airbrush. These people already done it before. They know how long it takes. They know that they can't take too much time in doing the concept. Do a makeup that's too big because it's going to take too long. They're not going to finish it. They have the timing down. So with that knowledge, it's going to be even better because everybody knows the process and they got the timing down. So that's what I'm expecting. I probably want the best.
It's an all-star game.
Yeah. So
Andre, Chris, and I will continue our conversation in a few seconds, but in the meantime, if you are listening on iTunes, please take a moment to rate and review. Just search for the Fan to Fan podcast, go under reviews, enter a star rating, or write a review if you have a second or two, and click send. That's how easy it is. I will greatly appreciate it. Thanks.
And now, on with the show.
So then that's a good place to start, Chris, with your journey, because you've seen Face Off, but I mean, you've been a horror sci-fi fan for as long as I've known you, but obviously before that, I mean, you've grown up loving movies, and it
started when I was 2.
There you go. Yeah. And some of your favorite movies?
Exorcist, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. It's probably my all-time. It's a perfect movie. Friday the 13th. You mean we could run down a list?
Yeah, Fright Night. I mean, you're a big horror fan, but I think you enjoy movies in general. But especially horror movies from the time that I've known you, have been a big staple of what you love, and especially when you have good effects, but like those classic effects, the practical stuff. Not necessarily, because this is the other part too, and there's an episode earlier devoted to that where we talked about the difference between practical and digital effects. So, I mean, we're talking practical effects.
Exactly, and I've always wanted to know how things were done. I mean, you watch it, you see Nightmare on Elm Street, how do they do this, how do they do that, and just to do a 10-second scene of some blood splatter or something like that, or an arm popping out, takes a team of like 4 or 5 people, whether it's blowing through a tube to get the blood out, whether it's one guy, moving the fingers, the other one moving the hand, and another guy, it's a team of people that do one effect, and the passion that those people have, they don't get the respect.
So you see all of these movies, you grew up, you love them. You see a show like Face Off that gives you, like Dre was talking about, that behind-the-scenes perspective where you can see what all that entails. The fact that, like you said, to rip off someone's arm isn't just ripping off the arm. It's an entire team doing research, making sure it works, and then on top of that, recreating it on set in front of the camera, in front of lights, in front of actors, in an environment, all of this thing. So you learn about the Cozart School, which is located in Illinois. So luckily it's in the same state we all live in Westmont. So how did you find out about this school?
I found out through Dre. I mean, he watched season 4. I didn't watch season 4 at the time. And he kept talking about Anthony Cozart from Chicago, and then
who was a contestant.
Yeah, which is a contestant and won the
season 4.
Season 4. And Dre told me about him and that he has a school. Hearing about the school and then wanting to go to the school, my job at the time wouldn't permit me to go to the school. So I got to a point where I was just like, all right, I want to learn this. My girlfriend's, I got her watching the show. She loves the show. And she's like, why don't you try this? Once I told her about Anthony in the school, she's like, why aren't you doing this? And probably at the time I was thinking, yeah, I want to, but work and all this stuff. And I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere here. I switched jobs. I took a little bit less money, and I wanted to go to the school. And she's been very supportive with it. And she went with me to the tour, and we talked about the tour in the last podcast. And from that tour on, it blew me out of the water. I was very impressed from that tour.
So when did you take that first class? It was 2016, last year.
It was in June of the first one I did was Art of Makeup.
Okay.
The teacher was Anna from season 10.
Okay.
And her assistant, they always have an assistant, was Jamie from season 8.
Okay.
Went in there nervous, not knowing what to expect, not ever picking up a brush, not ever doing anything with makeup.
And your perspective, I mean, literally is watching Face Off. That's how you know the teacher and the assistant, and then the studio from getting the tour with Anthony and kind of seeing what they do, and then movies. And I'm sure just like probably anyone who's listening to this podcast, watching like behind the scenes features on DVDs and things like that, where you get a little snippet of Greg Nicotero and what he's doing for the makeup for Walking Dead, or Tom Savini and what he did for Dawn of the Dead. I mean, that's kind of like, that's what you've seen, and now you're walking into a classroom for the first time, knowing, at least through TV, the two people that are there to teach you how to do it. Right. So it makes you nervous,
Yeah, I was very nervous, and it was a room with about 20 people that are taking the class for the first time. And
so kind of, what were the people in the classroom like? Like ages, experience?
They range from anywhere from 16 all the way to about probably around 30 to 40.
Okay.
So it's all different ranges. The first part of the class was sitting down and going over a PowerPoint and explaining about different things for makeup. Using, when you use alcohol, use 99% alcohol. Just the little things you don't know, what you should do with your kits, your makeup kits. When you, if you're going to be on a movie or something like that, or a TV show, or you might do a little indie film. If you're doing a movie, you have a kit cost. Not only your cost, but you have a kit one because so you're not replacing your supplies with your own money that you're getting paid. And there's a lot of these little things. I mean, it went on for about 2 hours, and it was just mind-blowing hearing about a lot of this stuff. And one thing, hearing all that, and I took from it was, and one thing that Anna said was, I went into this whole thing wanting to learn how to do monster makeup. Everyone wants to make the next Freddy, make the next Jason. But she said one thing she learned from doing this for 10 plus years is that, and she fought it for a long time, is learn beauty makeup. Beauty makeup is very important to learn because it's one of the hardest things to do. I mean, you can make a monster makeup and mess it up. You're making a monster. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. But learning beauty and watching Face Off, you learn that they got to make some kind of like monster creature, but still have to be like a beauty makeup. You have to learn that. And I took that really strongly because I went in going, I want to learn how to make monsters. And that's, I think, everyone's mindset. So I took that in. And since then, I've been looking and learning about a lot of like beauty makeup stuff. Are they going to teach a class in the future? And I asked that. I want to learn how to do all that, and I watch videos and all that kind of stuff to learn it, because you never know when you'll need it. Because the one thing that always made me mad about Face Off is I always hate when they have a challenge and they go to, like, if it's this, making a beautiful moth, but it's also going to be venomous, and they say, well, that's beauty makeup's not my strong point. What are you doing on the show? If you're going to go on the show, you have to understand all of it. I mean, especially people that's done that you're in season 10. So these people that's going on the show that are in season 7, 8, 9, 10, they've seen the show. They know what to expect. Why would you go on that show?
And they've seen the experience that the other contestants have had.
Yeah.
And they can kind of realize, I have just as much experience as this contestant.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be as good, but at least we have the same experience, so I should at least be able to compete.
Right.
Versus somebody else where you're like, oh, wow, I don't have that experience. I can't be as good as that person, so that's where I have to have something unique.
Right.
Like I'm going to have to really either figure out a unique perspective on how to do something different, because that person knows how to do this thing that I can't.
Right.
So that class, the Art of Makeup Effect, how long was it?
It was 4 weeks, every Saturday, 5.5 hours with a half an hour break.
Okay, wow.
So the first half was the learning about
Kind of like a theory, a baseline to just learn. Sounds like just the basics of makeup.
Right.
And the industry a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of industry. They showed us a little bit about Anthony's portfolio.
Okay.
They kind of showed you how to make a portfolio a little bit. The second half was learning what we got in our kits, because you get the makeup and all the supplies you need.
To some people, this is probably, they have their own kits, or they've seen a piece of a kit. Had you ever seen what a kit looked like before?
No, never.
This is all brand new to you.
Yeah, all brand new to me. All the stuff that I got in. They go through each one, and the first thing that we do is we do old age makeup on half of our face. And we had to look in a mirror and do it on ourselves. And I've never put on makeup or anything. I've never even touched any of that stuff. So I was like, all right, this is kind of all right. So I started doing it. And one thing that impressed me the most out of everything is the attention they give you. Like, if you have a question, whether it's 20 people in the class, they are right there for you. They want to make sure you understand it. They want to make sure that you're succeeding. They want to make sure if you have any questions. So that was a very, very interesting experience. And like I'd ask questions. And one thing they also said during the PowerPoint is you take pictures of everything.
Okay.
Everything you do, start to finish, take pictures of.
And this is
different
process
things.
shots. Everything, like you're taking pictures of these appliances, these things that you're making for each step.
Yeah, and the old age makeup it's actually just makeup. It's not appliances, not anything.
Okay.
It's just a little makeup thing that they gave you to start doing it on your face.
So how do you start?
It's just like 4 different colors. Start with a baseline, and then you kind of go from the baseline. You basically take your wrinkles. So if you squint your forehead, you have the lines, and you go off of those. It's a lot of face making in the actual mirror.
Just highlighting?
Yeah, highlighting, and if it's a jawline, it's all looking different faces, making faces in the actual mirror itself. Making mad faces. You could see where your wrinkles are.
Okay.
And it's when you start doing that stuff, you kind of see where it goes.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Take a mirror and just look at yourself?
Everyone had a mirror in front of them to do it. Doing crow's feet on your eyes.
Okay.
All those type of different things. The wrinkles underneath your eyes as you get older. They talked about Benjamin Button with old age makeup.
Okay.
And those kind of things. They had an actual bust from Brad Pitt.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that you were able to do. It's in their studio and everything. So that was the second half of the class, and then after that we had homework.
This is still first day.
This is still the first day.
Okay.
The second class we had homework. We had to partner up with someone, take a picture of them and make them into like an ogre, some kind of thing.
Sure.
So what I did was I took the picture, blew it up 8x10, took tracing paper and started playing with it, adding different things, and then what we were doing next week, and then the next week we were going to apply the makeup. So whatever we draw, however we want to do it, if we just want to print out the picture and draw on it, if we want to trace it or whatever it is, we want to do that. So the next week that was our homework, and I was freaking out because I had to put makeup on a woman. So I was like, okay, I never did any of this. So her name was Sherry. She was really great, helped me out with it. I wanted to go first because I'm a person of when we're doing something, I want to go first so I can get this done.
Okay.
And learn it, and if there's any questions, I can ask anybody around. So Anna wasn't there for that class. Jamie was running that one, and she was incredibly helpful. Jamie was there all the time. If I had any kind of questions or anything, putting on the makeup came out really good. And then
you guys traded.
Then we traded. That was the first half of the day. Went to lunch. The second half, then she put it on me.
Okay.
I never had makeup put on me, so it was interesting to have it done. And I thought I'd be fidgety or anything, but no, it was very, very easy. She had questions. She had me make different faces to see. It was really fun being around people that want to learn the same thing. And I've never been around that type of environment. It was just a very creative. Everyone, even if you think yours look bad, everyone was there being positive with it. And it was just, after that second class, I felt a lot more at ease.
So your first course, Art of Makeup Effect, you, like you said, just talked about the second class. You finish all 4 classes, so you have 20 hours of this course.
Yeah.
How'd you feel at the end of that first course at the Cozart School?
I felt really good.
Okay.
I felt very comfortable understanding makeup a little bit more and understanding the little things that we use, the stipple sponges, all those type of brushes.
Comfortable enough to want to take another class?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So at that point, did you think, I just want to take another class to see what it's like? Or were you already thinking, I might want to make a career out of this? Because, you've got the exposure to the teachers, to other people in the classroom that I would imagine they've taken other classes.
Yeah.
So you kind of hear from them,
yeah,
I've taken this class, or I'm in the industry and I'm doing this. Was that enough to kind of get you to think, you know what, I want to try this out?
Yeah, after that first class, the first day of class, I left there and I was like, I want to do more from his school. And Anthony comes through the class. He's teaching another one.
Okay.
He comes into your classroom about 4 or 5 times, walking around, see what everybody's doing. I mean, this is his name. This is his school. He comes in there and he'll walk around and see what people are doing. Say if he likes something, he'll make comments and all that kind of stuff. He's in there all the time. So
the second course you take is color theory.
Yes.
For makeup artists, and the teacher for that one was Jamie, who was the assistant for the first one.
Right.
So your first class starts in June, lasts for 4 weeks. So when did color theory start?
That started in July.
Okay, so it's July 2016. You've met Jamie before.
Yeah.
So at least maybe those butterflies are gone.
Yeah.
You've got at least 20 hours worth of some makeup experience now.
Yeah, this was a 2-day course. It was a Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
It was about 10 hours. After taking the first one, I realized I know nothing about color theory. I thought I would never take this. I'm like, why would I need this? And I ended up taking it. And it was a class of 25 people.
Okay.
And meeting a lot of interesting people in there. There was people in there that work on special effects on Chicago Fire that are taking this class to learn color theory to get better at it. The main thing with this class was to be able to take the primary colors and make any skin color. And not only that, what we had to do was we had to match each other's skin color. Mixing the paints to try to get our same skin color, and then look at it under light. Because you think you match it, when you look at it under the light, you're not even close.
So you're not even doing any type of gore or zombie make. I mean, you're literally just saying, you know what, kind of like back to the beauty thing.
Yeah.
You're just literally trying to recreate the other person's skin tone.
Yeah.
Lighter, darker, whatever it is.
Right. Even under light, I can match it and it looks great right now, but then under light, it's completely either too dark or too light.
Which is, I guess, is kind of like going back to saying, all right, well, this is what it would look like under lights if you were on a set shooting it, and that's where it has to look accurate.
Right, exactly. And like the first part of that class each day was a PowerPoint, learning different things and taking notes and everything. The classes are very big on note taking, making sure you're taking notes. Anthony wants to make sure you're taking notes so you're paying attention and you know what's going on. So it was a lot of that, learning the different paints, learning the different primary colors to make these different colors, and how if you take these 2 colors and just add a dab of blue, how it can change the whole aspect of it, even if you have a ton of red or a ton of white, and how it'll change it.
And again, no experience with this, right? It's not like you were a painter, no experience with color theory.
None experience with color theory at all.
And I remember when you took it, you were sending Dre and me some photos beyond the skin thing, but of bruising and trying to get some very accurate, I mean, like to the point where, I mean, I remember showing my wife some of the pictures and she's like, oh my God, what happened to Chris? But I mean, it was to the point where it looked like a real bruise.
Right, and that was the back in the first class. That was the third week.
Okay.
That was art of makeup, third week where we learned bruising, scars, learning how to do cuts on your hand with ear and scar wax, learning all those different things.
Andre, Chris, and I will conclude our conversation in a few seconds. But in the meantime, remember you can find the Fan to Fan podcast at www.fanpodcast.com. Facebook, just search Fan to Fan Podcast. That's FAN, the number 2, FAN, or on Twitter at Fan to Fan Podcast. I'd love to hear from you, so reach out, send the message, and let me know what you think of the show. Thanks. So you finish up the 2 days for color theory. Your next one is character prosthetic application with Jamie again, right?
Yes. That was a class of 6 people. It's basically taking a prosthetic that they give you. They had 5 to choose from. You pick one, and you end up coloring it, applying it to the person's face, and using your colors that you use to paint it, because you paint the prosthetic first. Then you paint around the person to get it all to match and basically making a character.
I think it's just really cool that COSART has this school in Chicago for us. Because me and Chris talk about all the time, like, there's schools and stuff that we always wanted to, but they're out of town, out of state. The Tom Servini School is something Chris would like to go to.
And that's in
Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. And
you got to see, as Chris was taking all these classes, he's kind of showing us through pictures, text, he's showing us the progress that he's saying. So you kind of saw, how he was, what he was doing, the steps that, the new things he was learning.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, it's cool that Anthony has this school here, and it's cool that somebody like Anthony is doing the class, because I always thought, me and my brother always thought that Anthony was by far the most talented person to be on Face Off. The makeup that he'd applied, the characters he created. I mean, he was probably the best person to go from concept to actual practical effect, and it looked exactly like he did the concept. I know he did this one demonic belly dancer that was just amazing. It looked exactly how he envisioned it and how he drew it, and that was so impressive. And to have him be the head of the class was so cool. And the one thing I know about Chris and me is that we were not good with change, and we're not good with doing something new. So one thing we both worried about is doing something new and not knowing what we had to. What did I say? Something wrong?
I don't know what the hell he's doing.
All of a sudden it turned into a confessional.
No. I was just talking about how one thing we're not good at doing something new, because we don't, because we don't want to be the person in the room who does not know as much as the other people in the room. So it's difficult for us to do something new like that and be in a room with the people who are talented and maybe have more experience for us. So it was really cool for him to take the classes, and it was really cool to see how the classes catered to him, and how even though he was nervous when he first did the first class, and he just told me how nervous he was, how they made him feel comfortable right away. They didn't make him feel like, oh, you don't know that this is the gel that you use, or you don't know how to blend this. Because after he would come do every class, he would come over and we would go out and he would talk about the class and what he learned. And the way he described the class, just him describing him going to the class, made me feel good about the school. It gave me an insight of how they're teaching him. And like he said, we want that hands-on teaching with the students and the teachers. We have questions, and he was coming from a place of zero. I mean, he never even practiced doing makeup. For him to feel comfortable enough to go to another class and feel comfortable enough to take another class and feel comfortable enough to do more and be more adventurous and do some stuff that he was way out of his comfort zone. I mean, just applying the makeup was well out of his comfort zone. Like he said, he had never done any type of makeup or anything like that. For him to feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, I want to take another class and do something even more complicated like the prosthetic laying or the scars. I mean, it was just cool, and just show me how good the class is, even without me taking a class.
So the last class you took, Chris, was the art of mask making.
Yes.
And that's where, and I'll put the picture up on the Fan to Fan podcast social media stream. So guys, if you're listening to this, it's worth checking at least out, because the mask is pretty awesome. But it was a mask that you actually made in this class that was taught by Jeff Harris. And I remember you mentioned he worked at the Goodman Theater. He's a prop master for them.
Yeah, and he's come from Cozart School. He's taken 9 classes from there, and he's taking Art of Mask Making and the Advanced Art of Mask Making. He's learned this, and he does the props for the actual theater. That's probably, out of all the classes, I loved all the classes, that was my favorite class. It got me to learn what I'm good at and what I understand. Never sculpting ever in my life, never sculpted anything. And taking this class and learning about sculpting and these different things, the first class was basically, of course, a PowerPoint, because they want you to understand it. The second half was you're watching them sculpt.
Okay. And this is where, I mean, I've only seen it from Face Off and, again, like movie behind-the-scenes things, but you're creating this mask on what looks like almost like
it's an easel.
Dummy head.
No,
it's an easel.
An easel, and
okay.
It's completely blank, and you get about 25 pounds of clay, and you're basically building it from scratch. You're sculpting the whole head. There's no head. It's completely flat board, and you're putting the clay on there, and you're basically sculpting it from there.
Okay.
So you put as much clay as you want, and you kind of have an image in your head of what you want to do, and then you kind of just start adding or taking away from there. So as I was sculpting, looking at what I wanted to do, I had to, because then the second week, that week after the first class, you're kind of making up your concept. What do you want to make? Some people made a Jedi.
And how long is the class for the mask making?
4 weeks.
Okay.
4 weeks. Same 5.5 hours, half an hour lunch.
Okay.
That's
so
pretty
just like
much
the first class, the makeup effect.
Yeah, that one is 4 weeks, 5.5 hours. Just they're all pretty much 5.5 hours with a half an hour lunch. Okay. You're making your concept, so I had to make my concept, and as I started sculpting it, I started understanding the feel of it. There's just the feel of the clay. I kind of like, because you're trying to make a face, but with the clay, it's very easy to kind of change that and add in everything than drawing. And that's what I've kind of noticed with it by playing with the clay, is doing that. And it felt very comfortable putting in scars or adding the eyes, and everything is done by making worms with the clay. So you kind of make it into like a warm form with your hand, and you kind of put it in spots, and you kind of take the brush and you start smearing it out. Whether you can look at it and it looks funny, but then when you start blending it in with the brush, it starts to make sense.
Okay.
So what would you say is the favorite part of taking the classes in the school? Is it thinking up the concepts? Is it actually doing the practical, actually getting your hands dirty and then doing the effects? Is it just being in the classroom discussing, different makeups with different people and talking with like-minded people like you who enjoy horror, maybe fantasy and stuff like that?
It's hard to mention one thing because there hasn't been anything really negative to say about it. It's being in the class with people that want to create. You get in there, and I've met a lot of great people, and I've made a lot of great friends in just the 4 classes I've met that I'm friends with on Facebook. We're seeing each other's work on Facebook, Instagram, and we're kind of supporting each other.
And that's pretty cool too, because that's kind of what the reason, like you said earlier, that's kind of the reason why we like the show. Because the people on the show, they're competing for a prize. There is a prize at the end of the show, but everybody's out there helping other people. You see people helping out there, cleaning out sculpts, and they're helping them. They ask, "What do you think about this nose? What do you think about this mask?" Everybody's like, "Listen, I want to win, but I want to make sure everybody should do well." And that camaraderie in the show. I mean, every time we see that happen when somebody goes help somebody else on the show, that's one of the biggest things why we love the show. And it sounds like the Cozart classes, it's the same thing, that we're in the class together. We're not competing, but we're doing projects separately. But we're here together. You know what I mean? I want to see you do good because I want to do good, and I want to see you do good because you're here with me. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That was probably one of the things at the beginning, because I'm looking at everyone else's art or what they're doing, and there's people that's far advanced than me. Of course, I know that. A lot of times when I first started, also, was I was looking at their stuff and like my stuff's not good. One thing, I believe it was Anthony's dad that works at the thing. He was talking about one of the problems that Anthony had. If you watch season 4, Anthony started out winning like 4 or 5 in a row. Boom, like he's the only contestant that's ever done that. And then he started kind of falling off. He wasn't doing anything bad. He set the bar so high, he was just stuck at that. He wasn't going above that bar. And someone, I think it was Glenn, that pulled him to the side and says, "What are you doing? Like, stop looking at what everyone else is doing and do you. You're trying to compete with everyone, and it's not showing up in your makeup because you're trying to compete." And when his dad said that, it kind of stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, because that's what I wasn't trying to compete, but I was looking at everyone else's. As soon as I see someone doing way better, I was kind of like, man, this sucks. I'm horrible. And I'm like, and
Glenn is one of the judges on Face Off,
right?
So you have these 3 judges. They're kind of giving you your critique, but in this case, they were giving him advice that he took to heart.
I know Glenn seems like a kind of a hard ass on the show, but I heard he is probably one of the guys that want to see everyone succeed. And behind the scenes, he will pull you to the side and be like, man, you're doing this great, you're doing this. He is probably, I know we look at him and be like, this guy just seems like a Simon Cowell of makeup, but he's actually probably one of the nicest ones I've heard, and I've heard it from multiple people how he is. But I took that and I don't try to compete, and I've had people come up to me with the stuff I'm doing, like, man, this looks really good, this there, and it kind of helped with the confidence because I'm not used to that being in a school or an environment like this, doing that and showing you guys pictures after the class and all that kind of stuff, and it just makes me want to do more. I just want to keep going.
All right, Chris, so you've taken a few classes. You have a few on the docket to take in the future. I know you've mentioned like airbrush, body part prop making, trauma, prosthetics, on-skin silicone, monster denture stuff. So there's some classes that you definitely want to take at Cozart. What do you want to do with this now that you've kind of seen a little bit of what it is, what you're going to do in the near future with more of these courses?
For me, just I want to keep taking this year. I mean, I took 4 last year. I want to at least try to take 10 this year. So after this full year of classes, whatever the classes are going to be, once they come up, I just want to keep going and getting better, and hopefully either work on things. There's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. There's constant haunted houses in Chicago. I want to get my foot in the door that way to at least work at a Halloween at one to see what it's like. And then keep learning from Anthony and Anthony's school. Maybe one day, the more classes I take, maybe helping him out with, projects in the future, whether it's just being there to help with molding or any kind of thing it is. And I just want to keep learning.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, too, because of you in Cozart School. I didn't know that they did all those movie and TV productions in Chicago. Which
they do what, like Chicago PD, Empire.
All the Chicago stuff, right?
Exorcist.
Anna did Exorcist, Empire. Anna just is on with Chicago Justice. That's the new one that's coming up. Mm-hmm. They're doing a lot of stuff around Chicago, and there's a lot more production going on in Chicago. I'm really, if anyone's ever considered going to his school or ever thought about it, I've met people that's come from Florida. I've met people that's come from Arkansas that's coming to his school to learn, and they leave excited and they can't wait to come back. So if anyone's ever thinking of going to a school or thought about it or whatever like that, go for it, because it's an amazing school.
I was going to say, although if you're listening to this, it may sound like a commercial for the Cozart School. It really isn't. I think the one thing, Dre, that you and I have seen in Chris is, I mean, you've been interested in this stuff as a fan of these movies, of TV shows, of all of these things, of Savini and Winston, fans enough of these things to know who these people are, right? Yeah. And then figuring out all the work that goes behind it. A fan enough to want to just go beyond being a fan and actually wanting to learn how to do it. So now you're more of a practitioner and actually learning from these people to do it. It's a genuine enthusiasm. Like, we joke around and say, oh, like, that's your go-kart. That's the thing that keeps you motivated, keeps you happy. I like art. Dre, you like animation. These are things that we dabble in, that we enjoy. This has become your go-kart, the thing that has changed your perspective, gives you enthusiasm, gives you more opportunities in the future. It's just something that you enjoy to do. I mean, it's work, but it's the kind of work that you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, thinking of getting up in the morning and going in to be able to cut someone's head off or cut someone's arm off or do some kind of makeup. I mean, that would just...
As an effect, of course.
Because
if not, that could be a confession
right, we might have
that
to
could
cut
be used
part out.
against you in the future.
That's true, but
on Chicago
I think me and you talk about, Dre, Rob Zombie, when you watch that, if you watch Devil's Reject, he has that 2-hour documentary, and he talks about, we're getting up every day to make a movie. That's what we're doing. And it's just the greatest feeling to get up to make a movie. And to be on set even if behind the scenes, not even on set or being behind the scenes, helping to build a prop or something, like I said, of a burn victim, or Anthony's dad showed us, me and Dre, when we went up to the school real quick, he showed us a frozen head that was used, and I think in Chicago PD, I believe. It was just to be there, to be part of that, to be knowing that you're putting something that can be on TV and be like, I did that. I had my hand in it. I painted it, or I helped sculpt something. It would just be a lot of fun, and just feel very good about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. Make stuff. That's what matters. That's it for this episode. Tune in next time for more fan-to-fan conversations on the Fan-to-Fan podcast. Thanks for listening.
They can't stay here.
Yes, they can, Dad.
But but they're contaminated. It's too late for them, but not us.